Parit is an opposition politician from Thailand. You are a member of parliament, but you shouldn't be the opposition. Is that right?
Yes, you could say so.
You should have been the majority. And so I want to give a very, very brief timeline for everybody so that they understand. I remember very well the headlines during the pandemic when I saw the protesters in the streets. Everybody had the Hunger Game sign, protesting against how the government was using the pandemic to crack down on its people. And then fast forward a little bit, 2 years ago, I also remember positive headlines around the world about how the Thai people voted overwhelmingly for change and for democracy. And two political parties won overwhelmingly. Yours was in first place.
Yes.
And everybody was excited about democratic change in Thailand. However, the elements of a military drafted constitution and then military Senate members used those elements of the constitution basically to ban certain leaders and force you all into the opposition. And so now here we are. And that's a follow-up headline that a lot of people didn't pay attention to. And so I was wondering if you could share with everybody, especially given that when people think of Thailand, they're thinking of vacation. And it's important for people to actually understand what's happening on the ground. So can you share with us a little bit about how things are on the ground right now in terms of democracy, how it is for professors and journalists and dissidents, people like yourself, how it is economically as well? If you could give us a little bit of a picture.
Sure. So let me give you a bit of context leading up to where we are now. I think in a nutshell, we are probably classified as a flawed democracy. So we do have free and fair elections, but there are other elements of our political system which still fall short of democratic standards. So the latest military coup happened 11 years ago, back in 2014. Eventually, they installed what I call a military drafted constitution that is in place today. That constitution was ratified in 2017, which then led to a return of elections. Now, fast forward to the 2023 election that you mentioned. The two parties that did very well, Move Forward Party, which I ran with, and another party called Pheu Thai Party. Now, these two parties were in opposition together, and they together stood against the military government and the parties that came or are closely tied to the military regime. Now, in the Thai House of Representatives, there are 500 MPs. So in a normal democracy, if you can assemble more than 250, then you would be the government. When the election results came out, Move Forward got about 150 MPs. Pheu Thai Party got about 140 MPs. Together, that's 290. It's more than 250. So in a normal parliamentary democracy, we would be in government. But the reason that we eventually were not able to form a government is because the constitution that I mentioned about gave the power to unelected military appointed senators to also have a say in the vote for prime minister. So even though we got the majority of the House of Representatives, we did not get enough votes from the unelected senators to get our leader into the prime minister position. So eventually the Pheu Thai Party broke away from us and formed a coalition government with parties that are tied to the military regime. So that's how we were forced into opposition.
I see.
But since then, we've also faced subsequential struggles. So the Move Forward Party that I mentioned and I ran with now no longer exists. We were dissolved by the Constitutional Court. And now a lot of our MPs or former MPs are at risk of being banned from politics for life, simply because our MPs back then submitted a draft bill to Parliament to amend the law on royal defamation. So that's kind of the fate of what happened to us and how we went from coming first in the election, now being in the opposition and facing crackdown. But in terms of the Thai public in general, I would say that we are probably now facing two crises at the same time. On the one hand, we are facing a democracy crisis, whereby our democratic transition has not really taken off, even though we now have a civilian government in place. But a lot of the democratic agenda that we've been pushing in the election has not really progressed. So, for example, the drafting of a new constitution, which I think for me is the key to unlocking this whole issue, has not really progressed. Military reforms have not really happened. The current government haven't really found a solution to bring justice to our political prisoners. And even our civil service is still heavily centralized, and the decentralization agenda has not really taken off either. So on the one hand, we're facing a crisis in democracy. But on the other hand, we're also facing a crisis in terms of economic growth. Our economy is becoming less and less competitive. We have an education system that is outdated. It has not been effective at equipping our people with the right skill sets. And now with the whole geopolitical uncertainty, as well as the structural problems of Thailand as an aging society, we are facing an economic crisis as well. So I think it's two crises put together. So the appetite, the sentiment for change that the people expressed through the ballot box 2 years ago, I would say it has not been fulfilled.
I see. Is there international pressure that you think could be brought to bear to affect change in Thailand? And if so, what could that be so that all of those listening could help in some way or pressure their own governments to help?
Yeah, so I think it's useful to come to a forum like this and to exchange viewpoints with people from other countries, because I believe that the crisis we are facing in Thailand, we're not facing alone. I'm sure there are pro-democrats in other countries that are facing a similar struggle. So on the one hand, getting the international space to be aware of what's going on in Thailand, and hopefully, sharing lessons, best practices, what to do, what not to do, would be helpful in us, finding new strategies in unlocking this issue. And I think if we look from a global perspective, we also see that democracy has been in decline for quite a few years. Whatever indices you look at, you realize that the average health of democracy across the world has been declining almost everywhere. So in that sense, it's not just a struggle for the Thai people, but it's a joint and a common struggle that we need to fight together.
Yes, completely. I agree. Well, one thing I think as an observer that you have on your side, at least that I hope, is you have such a clear majority in Thailand of people who want democratic change and improvement in general for their own lives. And so I'm going to close with one last question, and this is the theme of the conference, which is imagine. And the whole idea of that is if we imagine the world we want, then together we can work toward that vision. So what do you imagine?
I think I just imagine a better Thailand. I don't think what we're asking for is, that far beyond our imagination. We just want an economy that is competitive. We want an economy that is fair. We want an education system that helps equip our children with the right skill sets. We want a democratic system where the will of the people is respected. We want good protection of our human rights. We want a society that is less unequal and more embracing of our diversity. I think this is something which is not beyond our imagination to imagine,
right.
But it's something which has been so hard to realize so far. But I think we are on the verge of this breakthrough.
Me too. Well, I don't think it's too much to ask. So, Pirate, thank you so much for joining.
วันนี้ขอประกาศต่อหน้าทุกท่านในที่นี้ว่าเวลาของพวกเราได้มาถึงแล้ว
ฝากกดไลค์ กดแชร์ กดติดตามและกดกระดิ่งให้ด้วยนะครับ